Welcome to module number 5, Syllabus Area 5, Portfolio Definition Cycle. The syllabus area contains the following content that we would be covering in this module. At level 1 recall, we would look into the purpose of the portfolio definition cycle and its key output. And we will look into the purpose of the portfolio definition practices. There are 5 practices that we would talk about in greater detail. At level 2, we would look into the results of a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle and the implications where this is not the case. And then we will look into a few techniques. We would look into a 3-point estimating technique and reference class forecasting. We would also examine driver-based strategic contribution analysis, multi-criteria analysis, decision conferencing, and clear line of sight planning. And we would move on to understand the keys to success for 5 of the practices. We would understand keys to success to the understand, categorize, prioritize, balance, and plan practices. There are 5 practices, and we would study these practices in greater detail. The next slide, just as a quick reminder, we have the 2 cycles that we talked about earlier on. We have the portfolio definition cycle, which contains 5 practices: understand, categorize, prioritize, balance, and plan. To a large extent, there is an element of sequentiality. There's an element of dependency between each of these practices. And the second cycle that we're going to study is a portfolio delivery cycle, which contains 7 practices, i.e. benefits management, financial management, risk management, stakeholder engagement, organizational governance, resource management, and management control. And both of these cycles are bounded by organizational energy. We examined the sources of energy and the different states of energy in the preceding module. So let's examine the definition cycle. This particular module is all about understanding the definition cycle. So let me take you through an introduction to the definition cycle. The purpose of the portfolio definition cycle and its key outputs are the following. The purpose of the portfolio definition cycle is to collate key information that will provide clarity to senior management on the collection of change initiatives that will deliver the greatest contribution to the strategic objectives, subject to considerations of risk/achievability, resource constraints, and cost/affordability. The key output of the portfolio definition cycle is an understanding of what the portfolio is going to deliver, encapsulated in a portfolio strategy document. A portfolio strategy document is a long-term view of the portfolio and its contribution to strategic objectives, and a portfolio delivery plan, which is usually a short-term view, an annual view, which focuses on the forthcoming planning period. Together, these documents, i.e. the portfolio strategy and the portfolio delivery plan, will reflect the decisions taken by the management board or sub-boards when portfolio functions are delegated regarding the scope, contents, key milestones, costs, risks, and the results anticipated from delivering the portfolio successfully. So what are the results of a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle? So on the next slide, we have the results of a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle. If you have a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle with all the 5 practices in place, you would have a clarity on the high-level scope, schedule, dependencies, risks, cost, and benefits of the potential change initiatives. That's the result of a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle. It also enables the portfolio governance board to make informed decisions on the composition of the portfolio to optimize strategic contribution and helps the organization match the plan changes with its capability to deliver without overcommitting or alternatively having excess idle resources. We've got some additional notes at the bottom. Defining the portfolio does not mean that everything in the portfolio must be planned in detail. Indeed, it would be wrong to attempt to do this because that is a role of program and project management. However, a clear line of sight on the high-level milestones, estimated cost and resource requirements, risks, dependencies, and benefits provides a basis for a shared understanding of the portfolio and managing process. So while this particular slide talks about the results of a well-functioning portfolio definition cycle, the next slide talks about the results of an ineffective portfolio definition cycle. In other words, what would be the result if we do not have a good set of practices on the portfolio definition side? So a reflection of the ineffective portfolio definition cycle would result in the portfolio not representing the best use of available resources in the context of the organization's strategic objectives, aggregate risks, and available resources. Another area of ineffectiveness is pet projects will consume resources at the expense of higher priority initiatives, and initiatives will be started without considering their fit with the current portfolio. And finally, the last area of inefficiency is the delivery will be impacted with too many or poorly scheduled initiatives with conflicting resource requirements and unbalanced impacts on BAU. We looked into the results of an effective and ineffective portfolio definition cycle. Let's jump into the practices of the portfolio definition cycle. So let's start off with the first practice, which is the understand practice. So what is the purpose of the understand practice? The purpose of the understand practice is to obtain a clear and transparent view of what's in the current portfolio and the project development pipeline. It kind of takes a stock of all the existing projects and those projects in the pipeline. What is the performance of these initiatives to date? And also looking forward, this particular practice would forecast costs, would forecast benefits, and risks to delivery and benefits realization. We've got some additional notes over here. The output of the understand practice will be a clear view of the portfolio and its constituent programs and projects, both those that are live and those that are in the planning phase. We make sure that we reflect both of those initiatives in the understand practice. And many organizations have found that just completing this picture adds significant value by identifying duplicate, low priority, and poorly performing change initiatives that are consuming resources to the detriment of other more strategically aligned initiatives. This then enables resources to be reallocated to deliver more and often from less.